Welcome back. As we mentioned, the longest government shutdown in history ended last night, leaving some Democrats increasingly frustrated that their efforts did not result in a deal to extend health care tax credits. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury of New Mexico. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining me.
It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here in person. I just want to start off on a human level. How do you feel now that the government is reopened, now that your constituents who are federal workers are getting paid, those SNAP benefits are going out? Is there some relief?
Yeah, I was just saying, I feel relief. I feel like a weight has been lifted. And I know for so many people out there, especially for the low-income residents in my district, all of the chaos, especially around food assistance and SNAP, has been just weighing so heavily on families. I think the end of the shutdown is really, really important. Of course, I'm pissed as hell about how it went down and that we did not address the healthcare crisis. But, New Mexico is one of the highest percentages of both active duty military as well as federal workers. And so the strain on our communities, there's not a single New Mexican that doesn't have a family member or friend who works for the federal government. And I think we're all relieved that people are going to get paid again. Given
that relief, given what your moderate Democratic colleagues are saying, which is effectively that this shutdown was eventually doing more harm than good. Do you acknowledge that? Do you agree with them that it had just dragged on too long?
Well, what I would say in general is that I think all shutdowns are destructive. They are not beneficial for the country, for morale, for our economy. I mean, the multi-billion-dollar losses to our economy. And as I said, the strain that our communities felt is bad. And I think the way in which the White House and the GOP escalated the shutdown and used human lives as collateral, especially, the president demolishing the White House and throwing these parties and then cutting 42 million children off of food assistance. I think that the overwhelming feeling in the United States for the last, 40 plus days was that this was not okay. This was not sustainable. But I do want to say that we are facing a very real healthcare crisis. And, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm hearing from people all over the country that they don't know how they're going to make their mortgages and their rent and put food on the table with the cost of health care going up.
Let's talk about the fight ahead, because Democrats like yourself are demanding that this get addressed, that there is some type of bill that extends Obamacare subsidies. Speaker Johnson has not guaranteed that he will bring that legislation to the floor. How do you make sure that it does, in fact, get a vote? Are you confident it will?
I am not confident at all that it'll get a vote. I mean, I think first and foremost, if we learned anything during the shutdown, it's that the GOP leadership in the White House cannot be trusted. And, even the day after the Senate passed this deal, after there was this pinky swear that they'd hold a vote on health care, they're now talking about abortion bans if we want to extend Obamacare tax credits. So that's the Senate side. But in the House, we are not dealing with serious lawmakers. In the 7 hours of the Rules Committee debate the other night, I sat there while colleague after colleague across the aisle talked about how health insurance is unaffordable, that the system is broken. And I could not agree more. Our healthcare system is completely broken, and I believe in universal healthcare. But do I believe that my colleagues are prepared to actually put their nose to the grindstone and work out a health care deal in the next 2.5 months? I don't think so. I think that they lied in order to get the shutdown over, and I think they're going to continue to do what they've done because they showed us who they are in the big ugly bill, which not only guts the Affordable Care Act, it guts Medicaid and Medicare. And so this is the first of many battles.
Well, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has introduced a discharge petition that would extend the Obamacare subsidies for 3 years. I've spoken to some Republicans, Congressman Don Bacon, on this program yesterday, who said that this is dead on arrival. So, first of all, is that something that you support, a 3-year extension? And how do you get it passed?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would rather begin on a provision that is dead on arrival, but stakes out a position that keeps Americans from being dead on arrival, because that is what we're looking at. The loss of health care for 15 million Americans means that people will die. And I know that oftentimes lawmakers engage in hyperbole, but the entire reason why these subsidies exist is because healthcare is unaffordable. There's no solution to get us over the hump. And so we know millions of Americans are going to lose coverage, which means they go without care. It means they show up for emergency room visits, or it means that people die because they just cannot access healthcare. So not only do I support it, I signed on to the discharge petition. I think it's an important opening offer to our Republican colleagues, and I would like to see my colleagues negotiate in good faith.
As you know, some of your colleagues are calling for Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to step down from his post in the Senate. Do you share that opinion? Do you think he should step down?
I serve in the House. And so I get a vote on who serves as our leadership in the House. I don't get a vote in the Senate. But I will agree that the American people are angry. They feel betrayed. They don't understand the logic of what happened over the last week and a half. But we are where we are. And what I know is that our democracy is on the line right now. And if we don't fight like hell and stay unified, that we could lose our country. And so we're going to keep fighting.
Sounds like you're not prepared to call for him to step down, but are you disappointed in his leadership?
I don't know the full facts of why 8 Democratic senators behind the scenes cut a deal without consulting with the rest of the caucus, but I know that they did. And was I angry about it? Extraordinarily angry. There are literally over 200 plus members of the Democratic Caucus. Why were we not consulted? Why was there not a conversation? Why was there not a conversation with the American people? That's what democracy is about. But I don't get a vote in that discussion.
Let me turn to the battle to release all of the Epstein files is now going to be front and center as well. Are you confident that all of the Epstein files will be released?
I am not confident at all. I mean, what we've seen even over the last 24 hours with the president pulling a member of Congress into the White House to try to pressure her to get off of a discharge petition for a vote to release the files tells me everything I need to know, which is that the White House is engaged in a cover-up. And the fact that they did it in the Situation Room means that they're trying to flex their power muscle against members of Congress. And we already know the president is not complying with the subpoena. We know he's trying to cover up the files. And this week, the Oversight Committee released over 20,000 pages of documents in which Donald Trump's name appears over 1,000 times, including in private email correspondence between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, in which Epstein literally says that Trump is the dog that hasn't barked, implicating that not only did he spend time with sex trafficking victims, but that he had not essentially ratted them out. So it's very clear that Donald Trump is engaged in some sort of cover-up, and we are going to turn over every stone until we find out what it is.
We should note he has not been accused of any wrongdoing. And actually, the files that were released do not suggest he was engaged in the activity that Epstein was.
But I would like to note, if that's okay, that we have a congressional subpoena to the administration, and he has thus far failed to comply with the subpoena, and that is a criminal act. And so I do think it is wrong for the media or anyone else to absolve the White House from accountability in this case when it's clear that they are actually breaking the law and complying with the subpoena.
Okay, we'll watch to see how it unfolds. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Congresswoman Stansbury. We really appreciate your coming in.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.